William Shakespeare once said, "To thine own self be true, and it must follow. As the night and the day, thou canst not then be false to any man." For most people, including me, this can be a true but tough statement to follow. No matter who you are or what you believe in, that doesn't mean you have to hide it or pretend to be something else. Don't let society shape who you are either. We need to normalize people feeling comfortable in their own skin, whether they're gay, a different race, transgender, and so on. There are multiple people who struggle with finding out who they actually are or what they want because society makes people who are not normal irregular. Due to the fact that society makes people who are not normal irregular, it affects the ones who are just trying to feel comfortable in their own skin. One thing we could do to help normalize making one feel comfortable about who they are is to stop being so judgmental and make being irregular okay. Every day, there are people out there who struggle with finding out who they actually are, and society has gotten used to certain standards, and people who aren't normal are looked down on. There are people that have lived a particular lifestyle, and when they see someone who doesn't share the same way of life as them, they are classified as weird. Now, when I talk about staying true to yourself, this can mean a number of things, whether one doesn't feel comfortable in their own skin because of their race, sexual preference, or simply their interests, and try to change certain things about themselves just to be a people pleaser. Although we live in a world that constantly tells us how to run our lives and how we should act, it doesn't mean we should be afraid to be ourselves. Due to the fact that society makes people who are not normal irregular, it affects the ones who are just trying to feel comfortable in their own skin. Throughout the years, there are people who were seen as different had a rough life. There are multiple cases of assault done to people of color, transgenders, gays, and so on. The American Psychological Association wrote an article about what discrimination actually is and how one who faces it can cope. This article not only caught my eye because it has true statements in it, but it also has a deep meaning to the ones who face these issues. They state in this article that laws are in place to protect people from discrimination in housing and employment. Even though there are specific laws out there to help lessen discrimination, doesn't mean it still isn't happening. In fact, some of the people who try to enforce these laws discriminate against people themselves. A widely known example of this could be the case of George Floyd, an African-American man. On May 25th, 2020, police officers arrested him after a call from a convenience store after they claimed that he bought cigarettes with a counterfeit $20 bill. According to the police officers, Floyd was resisting arrest and was then pinned to the ground by his neck, where he proceeded to tell the officers he couldn't breathe. While crying and pleading for them to get off of him, he then lost consciousness, and unfortunately, minutes later, Floyd was pronounced dead. Now you may be thinking, why would I include this in my speech with you here today? I am trying to raise awareness of this issue that happens to people just like this every single day. The messed up part about the whole incident is Floyd was being played as the victim, even though he was later found not guilty, and then the officers were charged with murder. It was recently discovered that the officer responsible for Floyd's death, Derek Chauvin, was released from prison on bond. So where is the justice for George Floyd at? There is clearly a flaw in our government because I and many other people believe he still has not reached the justice and peace he deserved, as well as multiple others. Though these things have gotten better over time, there is still discrimination happening. How would you feel if you were in the same position as those who struggle with self-identity? Would you better understand the adversity they face each day? Something we could do to help normalize making one comfortable about who they are is to stop being so judgmental and make being irregular okay. If we made being different okay, then this would make people be okay with who they are. The first step to normalizing this is to be more accepting. It's 2020. People should express themselves in whatever way they see fit because they are their own person. Be kind to all. Not only for this reason, but you should always be kind to someone you meet because you don't know what they're going through. If you are someone who's struggling with issues like this, then you always want to focus on your strengths and don't be afraid to be yourself. For every bad person you come across, better encounters are to come. Don't dwell on the small things. Be who you are and say what you feel, because those who mind don't matter and those who matter don't mind, said Bernard M. Baruch. Take this as you may, but you can only be yourself because everyone else is taken. You shouldn't pretend to be something you're not just to please others. Just be you. Also, if you decide to discriminate others, don't voice it. You may not understand the hardships they face. Be kind, be true, but most importantly, be you. Thank you.